Hi, I'm Zach, this is Chasing Cars, and today I'm starting to wrap up my time with this, my long-termer, the Ford Ranger Wildtrak V6. I've had it for the last 3 months and have done almost 11,000 kilometers in that time. But today, we're going to start with some hits and misses of what I've liked and not liked so much about this Ranger over that 3-month period. Here at Chasing Cars, we do take long-term content pretty seriously. We do a stack of Ks, and I've driven this thing basically everywhere. I've commuted in it, I've driven it around the city, I've driven it on the highway, I've gone off-road, and I've even taken it on the beach. So it's been a really comprehensive test for the Chasing Cars long-term program. Now, this video is the first of 2 videos to wrap up my time with this car. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about mainly interior and practicalities, and the first 3 hits and misses. But before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to Chasing Cars, and also hit the notification bell icon so you know when we make a cool upload just like this one.
Chasing Cars, honest reviews of your next car.
Brought to you by
Budget Direct.
Hit number 1 for the Ranger is it has next-gen tech in here. This has a 12-inch screen, it's the centerpiece of the cabin, it's nice and clear, easy to use, and what I really like about it is its integration with the climate control. Unlike the Volkswagen Amarok, which has the climate control all in the screen, this has its own climate control functions, its own buttons. It's nice and easy to use. They're physical and it's really easy to just use them. Having physical buttons makes such a big difference. So I really, really like that in this Ford Ranger. This Ranger also has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And look, it works pretty seamlessly. The only problem was when I was driving just recently from Brisbane to Sydney, my Android Auto worked pretty well for the first 9 hours and then wouldn't work at all for the last 2 hours. Not sure whether that's my phone or the system, but it's worth noting. Now for the driver, you get an 8-inch instrument cluster, fully digital. Well, it's not fully digital, it's partially digital because on both sides you have a temperature gauge that is not part of the screen, and on the right you have a fuel gauge which is not part of the screen. But it's really nicely done. I love the graphics. I love how the car sort of comes alive when you turn it on. It's just a really nice thing. It's the small things that really matter, and I think Ford has really nailed the tech in this car completely. And I thought I'd also add the cameras used in this car are really good too. There's a 360-degree camera, and at home I have quite a dark basement garage with a ramp on one side and a pillar on the right-hand side. It's kind of hard to get in and out of, but with these 360-degree cameras, it made all the difference. It's also got a front camera, which I can tell if I'm getting too close to the wall when I'm parking at home. Again, a small thing, but it does make a difference. But miss one is the price. This thing is very pricey. With the options fitted to this very car, you're looking at around $88,000 drive away right here in New South Wales. Now, what exactly is an upcharge for a V6 Wildtrak? Well, it's $5,200 from the bi-turbo 4-cylinder up to this, the 3-litre turbo diesel V6 engine. This is the 3rd most expensive Ranger you can actually buy. It sits below the Platinum and, of course, the flagship Ford Ranger Raptor. To paint a bit of a picture, this car is about $12,900 more expensive than the Nissan Navara Pro 4X and around the same price ahead of a Toyota Hilux SR5. And if I take a moment to look back in history to a Ford Ranger 3.2-litre 5-cylinder from back in 2015, it was $60,900 before on-road costs. So this car has gotten quite a lot more expensive in those 9 years. So what exactly makes this $88,000 drive away? Well, it's got a few things on it like premium paint, it's got the flexible rack system at the back, and it's also got a premium pack, which includes these Matrix LED headlights, a Bang & Olufsen sound system, and some auxiliary switches on the roof, which is kind of cool. But that's sort of what you're getting for that $88,000 drive away. Hit 2 is the fact that, well, for $88,000 drive away, you do get a very nice interior, so that's a big plus. I think it's really nicely done in here. I love the contrast orange, yellowy stitching. The Wildtrak logos are really cool. These leather seats feel awesome. They're great to sit in for a long period of time. They're well bolstered, they're heated, and they're electric too. So it's a really great package in terms of its seating. And in terms of other touch points, the steering wheel is nicely appointed. It's got plenty of buttons on there, but they're all sort of easy to use and navigate. And just in general, the touch points are really nice as well. All the down the side here is soft. The door cards are soft. The material themselves are well built, well constructed, and I feel like this interior will last for the life of the vehicle, no problem whatsoever. So miss number 2 is to do with fuel use. This is a 3-litre turbo diesel V6 engine. You're probably not surprised to learn that it is a little bit thirstier than some other utes in the segment. This has a claim of 8.4 litres per 100 kilometres. That's what Ford says. But we know in the real world, after about 11,000 kilometres of driving, we saw on the highway at least about 9.2 litres per 100 kilometres. However, that can really blow out to 10.5 when you're doing towing or touring or carrying a big load. And on the beach, I actually saw 20 litres per 100 kilometres. So it's quite a thirsty thing. It's only got an 80 litre tank. You're going to go through it pretty quick. You may want to carry some jerry cans with you if you are going to do touring with the Ford Ranger V6. Hit number 3 is cabin practicality. In here, there's so many storage nooks and spaces. I was really impressed with it. Even as a single bloke, I've got a lot of stuff. And I guess the thing I want to start with is the cup holders. I love my coffee, so 2 cup holders isn't quite enough. But on the sides, there's little pop-out cup holders, which are really cool. And they hold a coffee cup pretty well, nice and grippy. Your coffee's not going to go flying everywhere, unless you're off-road, but that's another thing. There's a lot of storage inside. There's a deep center console here. There's enough room for your phone here with a wireless charger as well, included as part of the Wildtrak package. You've got another phone sort of storage part between the lower and the upper glove box. Really nice touch. You can just chuck your phone in there and leave it there if you're a passenger. And of course, up the top, you have a sunglass holder, which is handy, especially if you have sunglasses. Now, also for the front seats, you do get pretty decent door bins. I've had my logbook down here, but also there's enough space for a water bottle as well. Nice and handy. What else can I tell you about the inside or the interior of this cabin? Well, the glove box is actually really large. And other than that, it is really, really practical in here. I didn't have any problem storing my stuff, and it worked really well for the day-to-day grind. Now, miss 3 in terms of the Ford Ranger's interior and technology is the driver assistance systems. Now, the driver monitoring system is really annoying, and I found it to be a little bit intrusive because it constantly just pops up on the instrument cluster time and time again, even when I wasn't tired. Sometimes I had my sunglasses on, maybe it couldn't see my eyes, but I just think it's one of those things that needs to be tuned a bit better for the Australian market. But I will add that the driver assistance can be switched off pretty easily, especially the lane keep assist. That can be a bit annoying, but you can just press the center button here twice and it will turn it off for the duration of the drive. But it will come on time and time again. Now also, I found the start-stop system to be a little bit clunky. Diesel engines can be a bit like that sometimes. So I switch that off as soon as I get into the car because otherwise it just starts stopping and starting and carrying on and it just feels jerky. So that's a wrap on part 1 of my conclusion series on this, the Ford Ranger Wildtrak V6. I'm feeling a bit sad about it, but we've still got a lot to cover. In the next episode, we're going to be talking more about the driving experience of this Ford Ranger and what it's like off-road and even on the beach. So what do you think of the Ford Ranger? Is it something that you'd be after, or would you go for the Toyota Hilux instead? Well, let us know down in the comment section below. While you're there, make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching Chasing Cars.